Hey guys, it is Nimbus River here, and it is Wednesday here on Witches of the Moon. This is going to be uploaded a little late, and I apologize for that. Life is a little crazy. Me and Blythe actually recorded our video last week, and it was a really awesome collab, and it worked really awesome, but for technical difficulties, it fucked up, of course. So, excuse my language. So, we're not really happy with that, because it was an awesome, collab video, but whatever, we'll try it again, we'll make it happen next time. So, we're doing separate videos today, and it is about Samhain, and everybody loves Samhain. So, or Samhain, or Samhain, or however the hell you say it. Some people even go Samhain, mostly people who don't know how to pronounce it. But anyway, it means summer's end. It is the start of the darkest time of the year. And we as witches celebrate it as the most powerful Sabbath that we have. Also, we celebrate it for the veil being the thinnest, veil between life and death being the thinnest, which means the spirits that have crossed over can come over to our side easier that night. So you're going to have a lot of spiritual activity. If this is the first time that you've ever really experienced Samhain as Samhain and not Halloween, you're going to experience a completely new thing that is going to shock you and make you feel awesome, and you're going to feel that invigoration because it is really the Earth's last punch of the year for summer to be in full swing. It is the third of the harvest Sabbaths. It is the great harvest. That would traditionally celebrate the full culmination of everything that you have reaped and sowed, and now you're celebrating what is left to do. And a lot of times in the olden days, the really olden days, they actually use it as the meat harvest, which means they would actually slaughter and preserve meat for the winter. Now you had the first, which is like the first harvest being more lighter vegetables than the corn harvest, which is kind of Mabon, and then you have the meat harvest. So, which honestly for me, because I work with a corn goddess, all harvest festivals are bound to her, and because you really do pick corn in all certain stages of the three harvests. But anyway, I wanted to talk about some practices that you can do on Samhain, or that you can experience on Samhain. And what they consist of in my practice, first of all, I want to talk about protection. And my protection really starts the night before Halloween. The couple hours before October 31st actually comes into swing, I will do a number of things. First of all, that is when I set up my Samhain altar. I don't like to do it. I'll do a little bit beforehand, but that's really when I set it up fully, is right before Samhain, because it's fresh and it's only for that time, and I don't like it to collect dust. I like it to be one beautiful arrangement, and for all the symbols and all the great things that I want to put on there. Excuse me. So I also will cleanse the house, and normally I do that with Florida water. Florida water, well, I have a cleansing potion that's, it's got a couple crystals, and then it's got snow water, and then it's got Florida water, and I go all over the house. I'll also take my besom and I will anoint it with either dragon's blood oil or cinnamon oil, or just a power oil that I create, and I will imbue it with protective qualities, and then I will actually magically sweep the house for negative energy, just to cleanse it, get all the nasty out that was in, release it, and let it go. When that being said, I will round my house with a circle of salt, and then at every threshold of my house, I will lay a line of salt. Now, people can do that in many different ways. You can do just regular salt, you can do rock salt, you can do a blend with salt in it. You can do red brick dust if you're more into like the hoodoo thing. And I actually don't have any red brick dust. I really want to make my own red brick dust, and Tequila actually gave me a really awesome idea to do it with a brick and a drill. So I'm going to try that to get some, and you lay a line to protect your house. Now, there are many different ways you can protect yourself on Halloween, but what I really protect myself from are the malevolent spirits that can come over on that night. And I will make it very clear that any that want to come into my house to commune with me and bring me whatever message or whatever really fellowship they want to bring me are welcome in my house, and I will welcome them with open arms. With that being said, I also leave a jack-o'-lantern outside. I will carve jack-o'-lantern, and first of all, it's fun to do anyway, but for one, I will actually put protective qualities or carvings and sigils and such on it, and I will spell the jack-o'-lantern to light the way for the spirits and to protect my house yet again from the nasty spirits that want to come in. So I'll also leave an offering out, but that's normally like a general offering for spirits. And at the end of Samhain, I will put that back into the earth, and as in pour it or bury it, whatever it may be. If it's water, I'll pour water onto it. If it's like cornmeal, which is a traditional offering that I give, I will pour that back in the earth or around my offering tree, because I do have an offering tree. But the main thing that I like to do is honor my personal ancestors and my spirits that I work with on a almost daily basis, or even a daily basis really, because some of them like to jump out at me even when I don't realize that they're going to. And with that being said, me and actually my wife, I've got her involved in it because we do it for her ancestors as well. And I will bless a group, like a bundle of apples with the elements, and that's kind of passing the apple through each of the elements and blessing it and cleansing it and making it into not just an apple but a awesome offering that is blessed by me. And I will carve a pentacle on one side, and if I'm giving it to a ancestor that was Catholic, I'll draw a crucifix. If Jewish, I don't have any Jewish, but just an example, Star of David, or Christian, I'll just do a cross. And most of my ancestors are Protestant Christians, so I will just, kind of carve a cross, and that represents me and them coming together, and I will leave that on the grave. And I just drive around to all the different graveyards and cemeteries that have my ancestors in it, and I will offer them that offering and say thanks for being who they were and making me the person that I am. And that is the most awesome experience. I actually have found that the next day when I go, the apples are gone. So I don't know if they go into the earth in the form of being eaten by deer and such, which is a theory that Blythe had, because a lot of her cemeteries have deer up there. So she would assume that they would eat it, and that's great because it goes back in the earth. It helps the creatures of the earth. But it'd be really awesome if the ancestors went and took the offering. And I've never seen the apple back on the grave the next day, which I find is really spooky and eerie and awesome. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope I have talked about some things that maybe you can incorporate in your practice, or maybe just for plain old Samhain fun. I want to wish everybody a blessing-filled Samhain, a powerful Samhain, one that divinations can be performed and spells can be cast, and the full power of the witches are felt on that night. And one that you can honor your ancestors and please them, and kind of commune with those that have passed on. And with that being said, have a wonderful week, and blessed be.
Welcome to Witches of the Moon. I am your hostess, Blythe, and this week's topic is about Samhain, because Samhain is next Friday. Some people start practicing Thursday ritual Thursday night. It really depends on what it is. Some people go by the astrological, which I believe is sometime in November. I should look that up first. There are different ideas on when the Sabbats actually are, not just Samhain. So, as most people know, Samhain is considered to be the Witches' New Year. It is the time where they say that the veil is the thinnest and the communication between our world and the dead is more clear. Also, in the southern hemisphere is when Beltane is, and that is when the communication between us and the fairy world is more open and clear. So I find those two associations very interesting. Just one of those connections that I have made. So Samhain is about connecting with and honoring your ancestors. And what are our ancestors? Our ancestors are, in my personal opinion, anybody that helps us out, that is over on the other side, You don't necessarily have to be related to them by blood, and odds are if you are, it's a couple of generations back. Those are the ones that are watching over you, not your grandmother that died a couple of years ago, or your friend that, you know, has been gone for 5, 10 years, whatever the case may be. Usually it is back a couple of generations. That has been my experience, because I've been looking into my own ancestry recently. So how people do this is they usually put some kind of altar up to the dead, and if they believe in working with deity, they may put an altar up to a underworld or death deity. A lot of people will work with Hecate, Morgan, um, Caradwin, if I pronounce that correctly. Those are the three main that I am aware of that work with the underworld and work with the dead. So personally, I work with Hecate, so I work with her for everything. So, but this is really one of her big things. So you might want to put up an altar, and on this altar you want to have your representations or your offerings or whatever it is for your deity. You also want to have things for your dead. Usually the dead that are honored are more of the nearly deceased. So that would be your grandmother and your grandfather, because you may have had some actual communication with them when they were alive. And what you would want to do is put on things on your altar that they would like. You're basically inviting them in to share your space with you. So if they like chicken, you want to put out chicken, put out that beer, that coffee, that cake. I'm trying to think of what my ancestors like. Diet Coke. Whatever it is, you want to put that out. Now, however long you want to leave that out is up to you. If you're not worried about kids or bugs or animals or anything, you may want to leave that out for 24 hours, longer depending on what it is. You may want to do your ritual, let it sit out for a couple of hours, and then put it outside. Crossroads is a great place for that, or under a tree, whatever you have available to you. That's definitely an offering that you want to put outside. But I don't believe the ancestor worship should only be done, or veneration should only be done during this time. I think it should be done all of the time. I think witches have really come away from working with spirits and working with their ancestors, and it seems like it's something that is more tied to the Afro-Cuban traditions, and they have really kept up with that because they honor and respect where they come from. I think a lot of people that have European roots, purely my opinion, a lot of people that have European roots have kind of lost their way a little bit, and they may need to reconnect with those that have come before them, because they will help you. You just have to ask them. And yeah, so that's my opinion about that. So pumpkins are awesome to work with during Samhain. Now, back in the old times, they used to carve turnips, and I've heard different lore about this. One of the things is the pumpkin, when you carve the jack-o'-lantern, the light will basically is a beacon for your dead to come and to find you and to visit you, and the scary face on the jack-o'-lantern is supposed to scare away the bad spirits that are also trying to come to you. This way it makes the way more clear for the people that you're actually trying to invite in with you. And from what I've heard, it actually started with turnips. I believe it was in Ireland. I'm not quite sure of the exact country, but I believe it was up that way. They kind of started that tradition. I'm sure there's a ton of Samhain traditions that I don't even know about, or something, that is very similar. The Mexicans have the Day of the Dead, which is not necessarily has to do with Samhain, and I believe it's on the November 2nd. I believe is the correct date for that. And that is when they honor their dead, and a lot of things that they do are similar. They put out the altar with the flowers and different fruits and different things for their dead, and they really, really honor the dead. That is what this time is about. It is not about mourning. It is about honoring the dead and connecting with the dead. can be about mourning, but it usually is not. It's about celebration. One of the things that I want to do, hoping to do in the future, my kids are fairly young, so this is not going to happen for a while, is I would really like to have a dumb supper. And for those that don't know, a dumb supper is a supper that is completely done in silence. Some people choose to have music in the background, but there's no talking. And this is when you would want to make those dishes that your loved ones enjoyed in life, and everybody sits down for dinner, and there's also an empty seat with a plate filled with those foods as well, and you eat in silence. And then after the meal, you would take that plate that has the food that was at the empty chair, and you would take it outside, and that would be an offering for your loved ones. Or I guess you could put on your altar for a while if you wanted to, or you could bring it outside, depending on what it is that you want to do. So Halloween is kind of taken over. Samhain, I see Halloween and Samhain is completely separate. Halloween is about trick-or-treating, and Samhain is more of the seriousness, so people can celebrate one or the other, or both if they really want to. I usually do both. Samhain is for me, and Halloween is for the kids. So one of the things to do to gear up, so between Samhain and Yule, because I mentioned that Samhain is kind of the witch's new year. Now this is the time where I believe, depending on what hemisphere, Samhain to Yule is a time where you're going into the winter time. This is a time for reflection. This is a time where you really, really want to work on yourself. You'll see a lot of people withdraw during this time. They don't really want to deal with other people. The summertime seems like it's more for socialness, and the winter time is when people, they don't want to go outside. It's too cold, and they want to deal with their own stuff. And maybe there's some things that they put off during the summer that they now need to deal with. Samhain is a perfect time to start this. And you work through this towards Yule, because Yule is your rebirth. Now, it is not necessarily just Yule. It could be from Yule to the secular New Year, because I celebrate the secular New Year as more my New Year, just because I always have and it's more common. I do use that whole time to sort through all of my mess and all of my garbage and all of the stuff that's kind of weighed me down throughout the year that I really need to get rid of, and use Yule and the New Year with the new resolutions to kind of bring yourself out of it. I think that if you work on that during that time period, if you have New Year's resolutions, you probably will actually fulfill them. A lot of people do New Year's resolutions because it is just the thing to do, and they have something they want to get rid of, and they're just like, okay, I'm gonna get rid of this, and they don't actually do it for whatever reason. Now, sliding back on something like that is normal. We're human, and we have to remember that. So it is not something you need to beat yourself up over, but maybe it's something that you should bring up again. So I feel like you should work on between Samhain and the New Year with that. That gives you 2 months. So it gives you 2 months to work out maybe your nutrition plan, or change your diet or your exercise, or figure out your game plan for quitting smoking, or whatever it is that you need to do. Maybe you need to go out and be more social. Maybe you need to start school. Whatever it is that you need to do. So New Year's resolutions, they can be done. I've quit smoking for almost 2 years now. January will be 2 years. And I smoked for over 10 years. So that is really big for me. And I've been doing awesome with it. So that is really something that you may want to focus on. That was something that I had decided before January 1st. So hopefully that will work out for you as well. I'm trying to think of any other traditions that there are. That's all I got, though. If you have any questions or comments, I would like to hear what other people do during Samhain. So if you are watching this, please put in the comment bar what you like to do. I'm always interested in what other people do for their traditions, and maybe if I can incorporate them into my own thing. I love doing that. Divination is also great. Divination with the dead is also great during this time. So, that is that. And I hope you have a good one.